before I clock into work here, I want to continue reading from the book of James. We left off to chapter 3, that's why we're doing chapter 4. Uh, or did we do chapter 3? I know I read it, I don't know if I did it live. In any case, chapter 4, verse 1. From whence come wars and fightings among you? Come they not hence even of your lusts that war in your members? Ye lust and have not. Ye kill and desire to have and cannot obtain. Ye fight and war, yet ye have not because ye ask not. Ye ask and receive not because ye ask amiss, that ye may consume it upon your lust. King James Version being as it is, as I feel like I've said countless times, if I find it endearing. Uh, Wars coming from our lust. It's kind of an interesting concept there, and it's true, if you equate lust with greed, because it is a kind of lust, but lust is obviously used in a sexual context almost all the time. Uh, but let's continue on a minute. Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God? And that's interesting to say that if you're a friend of the world, you're an enemy of God. That's what enmity would mean. Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God. Sorry, let's just say it. Do ye think that the scripture saith in vain, the spirit that dwelleth in us lusteth to envy? But he giveth more grace. Wherefore he saith, God resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble. Submit yourselves therefore to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners, and purify your hearts, ye double-minded. Be afflicted, and mourn, and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning, and your joy to heaviness. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he shall lift you up. And keep in mind, this is James talking to the 12 tribes. He's gathered, and basically this is a directed audience. But it still applies today. Speak not, in verse 11, speak not evil one of another, brethren. He that speaketh evil of his brother, and judgeth his brother, speaketh evil of the law, and judgeth the law. But if thou judge the law, thou art not a doer of the law, but a judge. There is one lawgiver who is able to save and to destroy. Who art thou that judgest another? King James Version, I understand that sounds dry and it's difficult. You have to go through and dissect it. But nevertheless, I like it. Accept it a lot more than I do the other translations, the new translations. There's a clear message there, though. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he shall lift you up. That couldn't be any plainer. Now, the use of the word law, you have to realize or take into account that law was, religion and politics, one and the same. In this Jewish community at the time, James and all these other figures that have been studying the works of. Verse 13, to conclude the chapter real quick. Go to now, ye that say, today or tomorrow We will go into such a city and continue there a year and buy and sell and get gain. Whereas you know not what shall be on the morrow. It's just saying tomorrow is not promised. You can't bet on having tomorrow, bet the farm on having tomorrow. For what is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away. For that ye ought to say, If the Lord will, we shall live and do this or that. But now you rejoice in your boastings. All such rejoicing is evil. Therefore to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. And it's that final verse that, just like the other chapters of James, kind of wrapped up the whole message there neatly in a little bundle or package. To him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. Now, that excuses things that are wrong if you honestly didn't know they were wrong. Which, that would apply to like children, young children that they're still learning, still growing, or still maturing. But there's a point where you stop having that kind of innocence. And I guess it varies from person to person. But we certainly don't hold young children accountable for bad things they do, even if they're terrible things that get people killed or multiple people killed because they're kids and they didn't know any better. Like, they weren't sinning. If a kid puts a car in drive accidentally and something happens because the parents weren't taking proper care of the kid, that doesn't fall on the kid. Anyway, there's only one more chapter in James, and got a little time left. Let's go ahead and wrap up the book of James. Verse 1. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. Interesting. I've never seen that word, Sabaoth, S-A-B-A-O-T-H. It's easy to infer who he means, God, but still, I'd like to know more about that particular word. In any case, ye have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter. Ye have condemned and killed the just, and he doth not resist you. That's profound, because people often make the argument that if God exists, or if God is a loving God, why does he let horrible things happen to people? Well, God doesn't resist us if we're doing evil. Most of the suffering that we go through as mankind and suffering, it means a whole different thing in America than it actually means in a very, what's the politically correct way to say it? A developing nation is what we used to call them when I was a kid. Third world country, but a very poor, suffering. People starve. They starve to death in some places. But over here, if we're suffering, we just get EBT card or whatever. But all of these problems of suffering are caused by man, ultimately. Sorry. Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord. Behold, the husbandman waiteth for the precious fruit of the earth, and hath long patience for it, until he receive the early and latter rain. Be ye also patient, stablish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord draweth nigh. Grudge not one against another, brethren, lest ye be condemned. Behold, the judge standeth before the door. Take, my brethren, the prophets, who have spoken in the name of the Lord, for an example of suffering, affliction, and of patience. Behold, we count them happy which endure. Ye have heard of the patience of Job, and have seen the end of the Lord, that the Lord is very pitiful and of tender mercy. And, not the Lord is pitiful as we would say something's pitiful there, but the Lord is very full of pity. Would be the extrapolation from that. The Lord does take pity on us. But you have to communicate with Him. You have to let the Lord show you grace. Verse 12. But above all things, my brethren, swear not, neither by heaven, neither by the earth, neither by any other oath, but let your yea be yea, your nay, nay, lest ye fall into condemnation. I like that. Let your yea be yea, and let your nay, nay. Is any among you afflicted? Let him pray. Is any merry? Let him sing psalms. And we use that as the verse of the day, I do believe. Is any sick among you? Let him call for the elders of the church, and let them pray over him, anointing him with oil in the name of the Lord. And the prayer of faith shall save the sick, and the Lord shall raise him up. And if he have committed sins, they shall be forgiven him. Confess your faults one to another, and pray one for another, that ye may be healed. The effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous man effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. Hello, Heidi. Verse 17, Elias was a man subject to like passions as we are, and he prayed earnestly that it might not rain. And it rained not on the earth by the space of 3 years and 6 months. And he prayed again, and the heaven gave rain, and the earth brought forth her fruit. Brethren, if any of you do err from the truth, and one convert him, let him know that he which converteth the sinner from the error of his way shall save a soul from death, and shall hide a multitude of sins. That's pretty touching stuff right there. He put it into modern day English. If you convert a sinner and save his soul, that will hide a multitude of sins. It doesn't necessarily say it will hide your sins, but it hides all the sins that might have otherwise been done by that person and yourself. I mean, one might infer that it will excuse your sin by bringing others to Christ. That kind of says something to me, that my work here is not doing anything to affect my own standing with God. I have to keep my heart and my personal relationship with God, separate from this. This isn't gaining me any, blind eye to the things in my past that I wish I hadn't done. But it applies to everyone else as well. I mean, it is the Bible after all. And the whole kind of point, like in the short, is that we're running out of time here. And I know that throughout history there's been a lot of people saying the end is near, but eventually one of those people are going to be right. And it's kind of like the boy who cried wolf syndrome. But if you look at what all's going on in the world and read the Bible, it just all seems to be falling together a little too perfectly. Anyway, I apologize for it being rushed and how you doing? Hang on a second. But I'll see y'all later. God bless you. Have a great day.